For what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of the Most High without effect? God forbid. Yea, let the Most High be true, but every man a liar. As it is written, that thou mightest be justified in thy sayings, and mightest overcome when thou art judged. Romans chapter 3, verse 3 and 4. Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Ruach HaKodesh. Double honors to our venerable apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And peace and blessings to the Lord's elect, the house of David. All right, so Brother Aharon coming back at you with a quick lesson, straight to the point, low and to be edifying and uplifting and informative to the elect. All right, and I have this article here I want to jump into real quick. Title goes, Global Economic Leaders Are Gathering to Confront What They Deem as Trump's, quote, New World Order, end quote. Okay, and this is something that for so long was deemed a conspiracy theory. Here we are in the year 2025, and they're outright just putting it out there in quotes, meaning they're using the verbiage, the phrase New World Order, all right, which is the plan that they've always had going all the way back when it was set in motion in the year 1776 by the man named Adam Weishaupt. Okay, let's see if we can pull this up real quick. Let's see here. All right, New World Order, otherwise known as, let's get this real quick. New World Order. It's not that hard. Pull it up. Let's go. New World Order. New World Order conspiracy theory. Funny. It's no longer a conspiracy theory, man. It's a fact, right? It says the New World Order, NWO, is a term often used in conspiracy theories, which hypothesize a secretly emerging totalitarian world government. Okay, a secretly emerging totalitarian world government. At this point, it's no longer a secret. A lot of people know about this conspiracy, not a theory. So in order for them to bring it out, it has to be done through deception. Okay, like they always do. It says the common theme in this conspiracy about a new world order is that a secretive power elite with a globalist agenda is conspiring to eventually rule the world through an authoritarian one world government. That's predicted by the Bible. That's prophesied by the scriptures. Okay, that there's going to come a time. It's called the beast system. All right, Revelation 13 and 16, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark. All right, the mark of the beast. So that where the system is being set up right now for them to be able to take that next step. Okay, we've been saying it from our elders and apostles of Great Millstone on down. We've been talking about this MOTB. Okay, and now it looks like it's right around the corner. That's why all of a sudden you got these guys in IUIC. All of a sudden now they're saying that, oh, it's going to be a digital ID. The mark of the beast is a digital ID. No. IUIC says from Bishnate that it's sin in all its various forms, both political and religious. Okay, and when the mark in your forehead is talking about when you think sin, and the mark in your hand is talking about when you do sin, right? And that the image is the image of Cesare Borgia. That's what they say. That's what they're teaching. That's what they're telling the dumbass zombie ass followers, man. Okay. But the reality, okay, is right here. You don't got to go too deep into it. It's right here, man. All right. How is this prophecy going to come about? We're reading it right now. Okay. The common theme in this conspiracy is about a conspiracy about a new world order is a secretive power or power elite with a globalist agenda conspiring to eventually rule the world through an authoritarian one world government, which will replace sovereign nation states and an all-encompassing propaganda whose ideology hails the establishment of the new world order as the culmination of history's progress. That's right. Okay. And then it goes down. You have the Latin phrase novus ordo seclorum. Okay. When you go into that, right, it says what? New order of the ages, all right, is Latin. Okay. Because this is Rome all over again. That's why their phrase is written in Latin, which was the lingua franca of the Roman Empire. Latin. Okay. So Novus Ordo Seclorum, which is new order of the ages, really, seclorum goes into the word secular. Okay. And when you go to that word secular, then we're going to go into the article real quick. We're going to breeze right through it. All right. Secular, the word secular, right? It says what? Living in the world. It says not belonging to a religious order. Okay. Not belonging to a religious order. All right. It says here, let me see if I can get a little bit more on that. Secular. Right. So it also means what? Belonging to an age or a long period. Right. So it's an age. Okay. But it's an age that is that belongs to. It's an age that's that doesn't have any religious order. Okay, so the scriptures, the ways of Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, all these different things that the prophets, starting from my elders and apostles of Great Millstone on down, been teaching, they have to do away with all these things in order for their agenda to work. That's why you're seeing this push for demoralization of the nations. All right, and a lot of this embracing of this new philosophy, this new Luciferian philosophy of do what thou wilt, being pushed upon the face of the earth, including the children. Okay, all this stuff that you see in the Baphomet being pushed through the media, the music. All right, it's all subliminal messaging that they're given for people to be conditioned to embrace this MOTB system. Okay, so let's read. It says, global economic leaders are convening in Washington this week for the spring meetings of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the World Bank. Okay? And before we go any further, let's get this real quick. All right? Because what we're witnessing is what's been written for so long. Okay? There's a book of Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 3. It says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. So them coming together and talking about a so-called new world order out in the open, that is the prophecy that we've been waiting for. Okay? And their conspiracy, we get this right here, Micah 2:1, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. So they're working iniquity, right, upon their beds, meaning they're doing it in secret. Okay, when you engage or when you do something in bed, it's supposed to be a secret thing. All right, when you say, oh, they went to bed, right, or you went to bed with that girl, it's a almost like a figure of speech. You know what I'm saying? So what? So when the morning is light, meaning when the day dawn, you know, comes, they're able to perform these things, because at night everyone is sleeping. You know, everyone is in the dark, is sleeping, so they're able to do their moves. And then once everybody's awake and nobody's really paying attention, then they play it out. You know, they play it out and they do it quickly, suddenly. Okay, verse 2, it says, they covet fields and take them by violence, so they plan to do these things, right? And houses and take them away, so they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. And the most oppressive thing they're going to do is to put that digital all in people, and they set the stage up for that right now. Okay, it says the current U.S. landscape is markedly different from what it was during the previous meeting last fall. Concerns regarding industrial policy and the possibility of a soft landing for the world economy have shifted to more pressing issues such as Trump's trade war, renewed fears of inflation, and growing apprehensions about an impending global recession. Okay, and that so-called global recession has already started. Okay, it's already started, man. It started back in 2020 when the CV thing started, and people felt the effects of it, but they were able to put bandages and patches, right, to keep you going. All right, they were treating, all right, the symptoms. They didn't cure the illness. Okay, and America is suffering a deadly terminal illness right now, and she would not be healed. There's nothing they could do. They could pump all the fake dollars into the economy. It's only going to make matters worse. All right, it's kind of like those things where the more you try to help it, the worse it gets. You know what I'm saying? And if you when you leave it, it's painful, but when you try to fix it, it hurts even more. So you might as well just leave it. And the more you leave it, the more it gets worse. So it's a lose-lose situation for America and its citizens, and that means trouble for the rest of the world. Okay, it says here the multilateral institutions hosting these meetings, dependent on U.S. funding, are under significant pressure to demonstrate their relevance to the Trump administration, while also navigating potential confrontations that could lead to U.S. withdrawal from these organizations. Okay, Ishwar Prasad, a former China director at the IMF, commented on the current state of global governance, stating, this is a quote now, all right, global governance. Okay, that's a phrase that's been used by places like the World Economic Forum, global governance. Okay, we could take it a step further, right? This type of global governance is not just about global governance, it's more about global dominance, full spectrum dominance through AI technology. Okay, so continue. It says the post-World War II rules-based system for global governance, which the United States played a key role in fashioning, right, fashioning, poeoing, right, is crumbling before our eyes because they have to set it up for the next system, the hour of temptation, the beast system, okay, the MOTB system. All right. He noted that the Trump administration has clearly expressed its dissatisfaction with various multilateral institutions, viewing their recommendations as misaligned with narrowly defined American interests, right? Because America's interests are always vaguely defined because they're always going to break them. If they make it clear, then you can hold them up to some type of standard. But if they don't make it clear, then they can always back out of it and use something known as plausible deniability. Okay? It says the administration has enacted tariffs at their highest levels in over a century, resulting in widespread uncertainty in the global economy and likely disruptions to supply chains, right? They were saying that in various different states all across America, people are already going and seeing in their stores, they're seeing empty shelves. Okay? They're already starting to see empty shelves, man. So what's going to happen by the fall of this year, all right? If things go as they are, we're going to see a very interesting summer, right? Because things are not, as good as Trump is making it out to be. All right? They're still saying that egg prices are still on a rise. Okay? And you can't blame Trump for that, because it was happening before he came in. All because they were saying that the BF was killing off a lot of poultry and it was going to affect eggs and chickens and your beef and your pork and all that. They already told you that famine is coming. So he's not going to stop it. This inflation thing is just the beginning. You wait till ain't nothing to buy. You want to talk about, oh, it's too expensive. Shit, nigga, you ain't going to get shit to buy anyway very soon. Okay? It says, concurrently, significant cuts to U.S. foreign aid are exerting additional pressure to poor countries that have long depended on American support for essential resources such as food and medicine. Okay, and they always use, the poorer countries. When you think about it, these so-called poorer countries were made poor for a reason. These countries got a whole lot of natural resources. There should be no way they're poor. All right? Because when you look at it, when they say poor countries, guess what? Why is that their presidents are always rich? Their presidents ain't poor like them people. You go to some of these so-called third world countries, they got presidents, don't they? How come them presidents don't live in the streets like them people? Like, are we not the same? You know what I'm saying? Presidents always living large. They got the private jets. They got the nice limos and shit that travels around. They got the bodyguards, But then their people are broke, dirt broke poor, talking about drinking brown water, and they got Bill Gates to come in and save the day. Man, shit is crazy. All right, but yeah, it says what? And America is going to turn into that. All right, America is about to become that poor country, all right, that depends on their government for support, all right, for resources like food, medicine, and so on and so forth. All right, and this is all being done by design. They have to bring the system all the way down to its knees so you can beg them for relief. And the only relief they're going to be given is the MOTB. All right, that fixes everything. It says, since taking office in January, President Trump has remained relatively silent on the IMF and the World Bank, although officials at these institutions are closely monitoring his disruptive impact on the global trading landscape, his rapid governmental reforms, and his restrictions on foreign nationals in the U.S., right? So this is all pointing to a dictator. Okay, remember, when you have, when the president enacts something known as the War Powers Act, he's pretty much given constitutional overhaul. Like basically not overhaul, but let me see if I can get the actual terminology. All right, let's see if we can get that real quick. Just give me 1 second. It's gonna make the point I'm making make more sense. All right. So you give a president war powers, right? Give me 1 second. Let me find it here. Got some information on that I like to share. Right here. Same thing that FDR did, all right, back in the 30s is the same thing we're seeing Trump basically doing. Okay. Congress has given, all right, President Trump dictatorial powers under the War Powers Act of 1917. Okay, which guess who wrote the War Powers Act? It was written by the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve Bank. Okay, and that was there. The War Powers Act was there, or at least put in place. Okay, to declare a banking emergency in order to bail out the Federal Reserve Bank. Okay, and by doing that, they embezzled, all right, America's gold, the gold supply. All right, now you got Trump saying that they're gonna go to Fort Worth? What's that place that they got the gold at? I forgot the name. All right, Fort Knox. That's the word, right? They're gonna go to Fort Knox to go get the gold, but yet nobody heard about it. What happened there? And now you got gold prices going up all of a sudden. So what's going on, man? Okay, what's going on? All right, but Congress, all right, is using the economic emergency, all right, as an excuse to give basically blanket approval to any and all presidential executive orders. That's why you got Trump signing all these executive orders quickly, rapidly. Okay. And he's making Trump a constitutional dictator. That's the phrase I was looking for. Okay? It's made him a constitutional dictator, man. Okay? So people, all these countries, everyone gotta come to Trump to come, hey, we gotta make a deal with this nigga, man. Because what he's doing is affecting us. And I've heard from people who are in the inside. I met this guy. He's he works on the inside or whatever. That's what he says. And he said, hey, man, I believe that they're going to take Trump out. I said, well, yeah, I mean, you're not the first person who said that, right? He said he believes that they're going to take him out because he's fucking up America's money. And they don't like that shit. I said, well, if they do that, then, it's going to be a problem. He said, yeah, it's going to be from within, though. He said history is repeating itself. And he believes that Trump is going to be assassinated from within. Somebody from the within they're going to take him out. So, he said, just keep an eye out. There's a reason why he can't travel outside the country because he's not going to have that protection. I said, well, we're going to see, because I've heard he's going to be traveling to, I forget exactly where, but he's going to be making some moves outside the country. So we're going to see. All right. But that's definitely going to send a huge shockwave through the system, man. It's all about chaos at the end of the day. So whatever's going to be the catalyst for that chaos, it don't really matter to us as long as it happens. As long as it happens. Right. So continuing, it says before Trump's election, his conservative allies outlined a policy framework known as Project 25 or Project 2025, which proposed a U.S. withdrawal from the IMF and the World Bank. Many Republicans have expressed reservations about these institutions' emphasis on equity and climate change initiatives. Mark Plant, very interesting name. What kind of name is that? Mark Plant. Can't take no nigga like that serious with a name like that. Right? Mark Plant. A senior policy fellow at the Center for Global Development. We just never know who these people are, man. They have all these high positions that impact everyone directly, but we don't even know who they are. Who appointed these people? How did they get to these positions? Who the hell are they? Mark Plant, a senior policy fellow. Policy fellow? At the Center for Global Development. Okay. Mentioned that the IMF is likely to maintain a low profile during the meetings as it waits for the Trump administration to review U.S. participation in multilateral organizations. You know what's funny? A lot of these so-called multilateral organizations and agencies and departments and administrations, they all, when you actually break them down, they all go back to one thing, which is the Federal Reserve Bank, the Rothschild banks. When you really look at it, it's like working, it's like a proxy army, so to speak. They have all these different names and it seems like they're all doing different things. But when you look at it, it's just a different member of the same body. Whether they're positioned to work in opposition with each other, they all work in opposition together, if that makes sense. Okay? So they're all doing all these things over years, over the time, right? In order to bring down the system and enslave the people. That's the whole goal. All right, the Novus Ordo Seclorum, the so-called New World Order, is at its zenith. Everyone is going to be so-called microchipped. There's going to be a depopulated world. Everything's going to be AI governed. And if you have the C-hip in you, for those of you who keep saying, oh, I'm going to take it in the last minute, I'm going to take it out. The Lord is not going, Most High is not a fool. Okay? The Heavenly Father is the one who's bringing this technology. That's why he's giving his men the ability to give you the warning. If you take it, you're fucked. You're doomed. Okay? Because you got a lot of people who are going to be faced with death. And then they're going to, elect to take it. But they take it and then the conscience hit them. They're going to be like, nah, I want to take it out. Okay, go ahead. Cut it out. Go ahead and cut it out. What's going to happen? It's going to send sensors and alarms to them AI robots. They're going to come see you. Like, oh, we noticed that a C-hip has been removed. What's going on with that? They're going to pull up on you and they're going to say, look, you have one of two choices. We're going to put it right back in you because that's your identity, because we don't know who you are if you don't have it. Or we're just going to give you the guillotine. You know what I'm saying? So the very thing that you were trying to run away from that led you to go take the C-hip, you're going to come right back full circle to face it. So ain't nobody going to escape it. And then the Lord going to keep you here so you can get eaten with missiles, man. Even if you die, even if you get a guillotine, you're going to die twice because the Lord going to raise you right back up because you took the C-hip and you're going to face that judgment for taking the C-hip in the first place because you already failed the temptation. You failed the test. You weren't one of his. So he ain't keep you. So it says, let's see, where we stop at. There you go. Mark Plant. What a weird name. Right? So continue, it says, there are currently no clear indications as to the direction the U.S. will take. While a withdrawal from the IMF and World Bank is possible, it will be a complex process that could inadvertently enhance China's influence within these institutions. And that's the game they're playing. It's China versus U.S. All right. So it's building up the nationalistic spirit. So people are not really looking at it as, they're building up our enslavement. They're looking at it more like we need to move faster because we need to beat China. If we want to have all the power, we need to beat China. But by beating China, you're building up your own prison. It's over with. And remember, they have systems in place that will kick in when certain things happen, emergencies and so on and so forth. Okay? And it always works against the citizens of America, or the citizens, in this case, they got global citizens now. So it means it affects everyone on the earth. Once again, causeth all. All right? So IUIC is not going to be able to escape the prophecy. They're going to deal with it. But we just going to see how they're going to bring it all full circle. I'm waiting to see, well, we're all waiting to hear how Bishnate is going to tie it all in. All right? We're going to wait and see, because he's been saying it, that it's sin in all its various forms, both political and religious. If you think sin, you got it in your forehead. If you do sin, you got it in your hand. Right? We're going to see how he's going to make that make sense. All right? So anyway, let's keep going. It says, and his congregation going to grab him up and beat him up like a piñata. All right? It says, while a withdrawal from the IMF, we read that, it says the IMF may gain Trump's attention this week by providing its first assessment of the effects of his tariff policies. Last week, IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva indicated that Trump's trade actions are negatively affecting the global economy, leading the IMF to revise its growth forecast downward and adjust its inflation projections upward. There you go. See, the truth is coming out. Truth is coming out. It says in her remarks, she emphasized the fundamental nature of trade, stating, ultimately, trade is like water. When countries put up obstacles in the form of tariff and non-tariff barriers, the flow diverts. And that's what? That's currency, the money. The money is going to move, right? It says the IMF's latest World Economic Outlook forecasts a slowdown in global output to 2.8% for this year, down from 3.3% in 2024, marking a reduction of half a percentage point from the fund's January predictions. And this might not seem a lot, but it when you look at it from the grand scale, this thing is, we're talking multi-billions of dollars right there. All right, that 2 point something to 3.7%, that's millions and billions of dollars right there. Okay. It says the downgrade for this year is largely attributed to the impact of tariffs in the U.S., which is the world's largest economy and was expected to lose momentum. The IMF projects U.S. output will slow to 1.8% in 2025. That means later down the line. Okay, because right now it stands at 2.8. So it's going to go down to 1.8. So that's a whole percentage point off again. Okay. By the fall, we're going to see some shit. All right. If gold prices keep rising the way it is now, shit, we might not even get to the fall for this thing to go all the way out. Okay. It says this forecast is nearly 1 full percentage point lower than the 2.7% growth that the IMF had initially predicted for the United States in January. That's like, what, 4 months ago? Shit. So 4 months from now, we could see some shit, right? When it was considered the strongest global economy, okay? Or strongest economy globally. So even stronger than China? Well, let's see. Let's see, man. Let's see. All right. But yeah, this stuff is going on. All right. Things are happening. Things are happening. All right. There's a whole lot going on. Let me see this. Right here, it says Putin lays framework for future prophetic war after signing law ratifying strategic partnership treaty with Iran. There you go. So Russia and Iran. Okay, the bear being a guard onto the Persians. Okay, we're seeing it. All right. Let's see. Look, we got missile talk here. It says China successfully detonates new hydrogen-based weapon. Okay, nuclear. Okay, nuclear. Let's see. And then this was, I believe this was yesterday or today. They said Jersey wildfire forces thousands to evacuate and has consumed over 4,000 acres. And this is in Wharton State Forest. All right, southern Jersey. Okay, so that's also something to look at. Right, remember the scripture says that the fire shall be oft sent out. Okay, so we're seeing a lot of things happening with that. All right, but the point that I want to highlight today is that global economic leaders, all right, the economy, global, right, are gathering to confront what they deem as Trump's new world order. All right, it ain't gonna be no Trump's new world order. He's just being used as a face to bring about something that they've always had, because New World Order is not a new concept. It's not a new concept. All right, it was there before Trump came into play. All right, going all the way back to 1776 and even prior. All right, prior to that. But it was really kicked in for this modern day back in 1776. And next year, if we're still here, it's going to be 250 years. All right, since 1776. 250. All right, so we're going to see how the Lord is going to play this out, man. But we're very, very close to actually living in the times where if you don't have an MOTB in your skin underneath your hand, you're not going to be able to do shit. All right, and that's the times that we're coming into. Okay, it's a book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse 16. It says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. The word mark there goes into a Greek word, charagma, which is a cutting or an incision. It's not just an ID. It's an actual device that becomes your ID. It's called radio frequency ID for a reason. All right, so IUIC slickly saying digital ID. No, go ahead and tell the people what exactly it is. What's that digital ID? What is it going to be? Okay, you can't just carry it on your phone all day. Eventually, it's going to turn from your phone to something else. Right? It goes from wearables to implantables. That's always been the plan. All right. It says, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the name of the beast, for his number of a man, and his number is 603 score and 6. Chai, Psi, stigma, 666. Okay. Stigma. The word stigma goes into the word stizo. Right? Or you get the word stizo from that, which is what? And a cutting. All right. Let's get that real quick. All right. Let's get that real quick. Stigma, stigmata. All right. Let me see if I can pull it up real fast here. I know I saw it somewhere. Maybe it might be here. Right here. Right? Stigma. A mark pricked in or branded upon the body. Okay? And it goes into the word right here. Stigma, from primary stizo, to stick, i.e. prick. Okay? A mark incised or punched for recognition of ownership. A scar of service, otherwise known as a mark. All right, so if you don't have that mark, that scar of service, you're not going to be servicing the system. Point blank, period. All right, and that's the warning. That's the warning. So, Lord, when you were edified and informed, in closing, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachakodash, Thawada Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, and until next time, Shalom.